largely induced by religious intolerance. But rightly pointed out that historically, this has not always been the case. South Asia, as we all know, is a birthplace of great many religious traditions that have profoundly shaped the way millions and billions of people live today. These different religious traditions have profoundly shaped their thought processes. And we have seen that in case of South Asia, followers of these various belief systems, they have coexisted peacefully and enjoyed the dividends of peaceful coexistence in form of material and spiritual prosperity. Today, we only know prosperity from a material angle, conveniently ignoring the spiritual side of prosperity. This is what is leading to frustration among the youth, and this is perhaps what South Asia can offer to the world: spiritual prosperity. This is what we as a region are known for thousands of years, and this is what has brought us unprecedented prosperity in human history. And if you look at the history of South Asia as a region, which is home to a number of civilizations, including Indus Valley civilization, which was stretched across 1 million square kilometers, the prosperity that we witnessed, it is unparalleled even by the contemporary standards. And I think the major reason that we prospered historically was because we learned to coexist peacefully. But today, Kashif, religious pluralism and interfaith harmony in South Asia, like I said, is under tremendous threat. And the single most threat to faiths and interfaith harmony arise from faith-based extremism and violence. So if there is a single most alarming threat to faiths and interfaith harmony, it is from the faith-based extremism and violence that we see is rising in South Asian context for last 2 decades, to be precise. So what we see in South Asia during last 2 decades, that there is a rise of religious ultranationalism and religious extremism. And these two factors, they have converted South Asia into the world's most hostile region for pluralism and interfaith harmony. On one side, we see the rise of religious and ultranationalists, especially in case of India, which was once known as the beacon of hope for peaceful coexistence. Today, if we look at the Indian political environment, religious nationalists or ultra-nationalists, they see their states as inextricably intertwined with dominant religion of that great country. And for religious extremists, especially in Pakistan, because we in Pakistan are fighting these religious extremists for the last 2 decades, for them, nation states are meaningless. They wish to undo the nation states, no matter created in the name of Islam, to achieve exclusive dominance of one particular religion. So traditionally, if you look at these religious ultranationalists and religious extremists, regions of South Asian political environment, but recently they have moved from periphery to the mainstream, acquiring more political and social power, thus adversely affecting states' policies vis-a-vis religious minorities. And this is a cross-South Asian trend. I'm not referring to one particular country in the region. A last year study conducted by Pew Research Center, it documented that out of 7 countries in the region, 6 enforce high or very high government restrictions on religion, and the lone exception, which was Sri Lanka, that is also moving into that direction. So I think that is quite an alarming trend from the perspective of South Asia. So now the moot question arises whether this rise of religious ultranationalism is reversible or it's a constant like COVID-19 that we have to live with it. Well, if you look at the history of South Asia or any part of the world, it tells us that nothing is constant. But to change the status quo, new mode of thinking must evolve and must emerge. And these mode of thinking, they continue to sprout in the most hostile times. But what it takes is a consistent and selfless efforts of few good men and women to challenge orthodoxy. And I believe that youth is the most important, has the most important role to play in reclaiming a pluralist and peaceful South Asia. It is not that we have to reinvent the wheel. We in South Asia have a rich intellectual source from which we can draw and extract to basically build a peaceful and tolerant South Asia.
Sir,
We need to
I,
basically harness. Ji, Kasha.
sir, I have a question rises here. How youth can prioritize their interventions for sustainable South Asian and specifically in perspective of peace and harmony? How youth can prioritize their interventions?
Well, I think firstly, there's a need to create platforms such as the one created by Center for Peace and Social Studies. I think technology and social media can be instrumentalized as a source of unity rather than division. And whether youth, how do we basically get the intellectual resource, as I've mentioned, that we have to look back at the history of South Asia. It is not that Western models of or Western liberal model of interfaith harmony, they have certainly produced a lot of goodwill among different religions. But in case of South Asia, I think folk wisdoms and religious traditions will come more handy for the youth to build a peaceful South Asia. For instance, if you look at the teachings and preachings of different saints from South Asia, including Sant Kabir, Baba Bulle Shah, there are so many in Bangladesh as well. Their teachings and preachings basically served to unite people from different religions of the world. Even today, if you go to the shrines of these Sufi saints, especially in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, they attract people from various religious traditions. So this is one source of inspiration that we can use. And I would like to cite just one verse from Baba Bulle Shah, who was a Punjabi saint from undivided India at that time. He used to say that tear down the mosque and the temple, break everything in sight, but do not break a person's heart. It is there that God resides. This is the crux of the teachings of the holy Sufi saints, whether they're coming from Afghanistan or the Pashtun belt of Pakistan, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal. So this is what we need to invoke to fight the religious fundamentalism in South Asia.
Sir, we are truly grateful for your kind input, and specifically not only input, but we can rather say that is just specifically the guideline from where we can start. We have audience, our panelists from all the South Asia, ranging from Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Philippines, Bangladesh, and all the relevant countries. So it will be great honor if you can stay for a few more minutes with us, so you can listen our youngsters and give your feedback